Pop, what's going on, man?
New levels lunatic today, but we're doing
Oh
okay.
my gosh. Another day in paradise. Another day in
I
paradise,
went out
man.
for a solo ride round in the pouring rain. Something's
Yeah.
wrong with me.
Came back in your Scott Turner costume, man. We gotta
That's
get
it,
you a
man.
clipboard. Got the hat, got the headset. Where'd you get that hat, Pop Fanatics? That an authentic piece you got on there right
This
there?
was a knockoff on the way up to the Ravens game because my lovely wife was afraid of me this this dome being exposed to the sun. So
And I tell you what it was. It was a good buy. It
yeah,
was a good
I
buy.
think it was five
Anyways,
bucks.
supporting
No,
a local businessman.
not
Certainly not
bad.
supporting the Washington Commanders. I don't think Magic Johnson saw a cent of
Yeah,
that.
Ravens
But
fan made out that day.
local Baltimorean made quite a few bucks. Anyways, getting into it, man. Today, obviously, our Raiders pregame. You know all the headlines. We'll break them down for you, give you all the info we got. Stay tuned. That's coming up in just a second. And don't forget, Bada Bets, second half of the episode, recapping our last picks, and then kicking it back around for our picks this week. Don't forget, before we get started, enter that Jaden Daniels jersey giveaway. To be eligible, you simply just have to subscribe, send an email with your name, address, and jersey size to Dom and Pop giveaway1 at gmail.com. As soon as we hit our goal of 2,000 subs, we're going to have a drawing to pick the winner. So the sooner we get more subscribers and more entrants, sooner we get that jersey out, the sooner you guys get that jersey into your home and you can rock it this season. So let's get it done. Getting into that Raiders pregame. Pop, how you feeling? I mean, we got the Raiders at home, 1 p.m. Sunday. Nothing really is going wrong. Teams 1-1. It was a tough game on the road against Green Bay. But, we made it out in one piece. We're going to bounce back. And this is a great opportunity to get right against a Raiders team that looked pretty awful in Monday Night Football and is traveling west to east, right? I'm feeling pretty good, right?
It should be a get right game. Like if you look at it, playing the Giants, who I guess what did we learn about the Giants playing the Cowboys, right? They put up a bunch of points. Both teams put up a bunch of points. Does that mean the Giants defense isn't as good as we thought they were? Not sure. But our offensive line looked much better that first game than they did second game. It was absolutely horrific. And even in the first game, Josh Connerly struggled. And look, I'm not looking to pick on the rookie, but he was thrown out there by the coaches. If anything, I'm going to put that more on the coaches than the rook. I don't ever judge a rookie until they've had a couple of years in the league and we can really see what they can do. So I feel bad for Connolly in a way, but that's going to be a topic of discussion. I mean, do we need to go back to Wiley? And then of course the health issues, right? You got a couple guys out for the year that you hate to see, um, and Dietrich Wise and Eckler. But then, of course, we're going to talk about Jaden. So I don't know. I mean, you'd like to think that if we bring the game we brought against the Giants and maybe clean up a couple of things, we can win. But then you might have a Marcus Mariota led team, and I don't think we're going to know until probably late Friday or game time what's going on there. So it's hard to kind of have great vibes at the moment. I think we got to wait and see what we bring on Sunday before we can really judge going forward.
Yeah, obviously I'm being a little bit facetious there about the all sunshine and rainbows thing.
No, I knew
Thursday
you
night
were.
was
I'm just
yeah,
up on that.
Thursday night was a disaster, both on the field and well, completely on the field game wise, and then in terms of like, okay, you get your doors kicked in, fine, it's going to happen every once in a while, and right as we're starting to get to the point where we're processing that and feeling like, okay, you know what, long season, a lot of teams lose ugly games. You look at the Eagles had a bad one last year. The Ravens had a couple bad ones. Like some of the best teams in the league even lose ugly games. And then all of a sudden the hammer drops and it's like, okay, Austin Eckler's done for the year. Dietrich Wise is done for the year. Noah Brown, John Bates are all out. And you're going, okay, you know what? It's going to be Jane Daniels MRI on his knee.
Ugh,
And when we'll talk about, I'm going to go out and say it right now. I don't think he's playing. I think we're favored by more than 3.5 points against Vegas if Vegas thought he was playing. I think if it was truly questionable, they may just not offer a line on it right now. So I think Vegas doesn't think he's playing, which
they're
doesn't mean,
hedging. Yeah.
these guys have free will, right? But there's a reason the buildings are. If you've ever been to Vegas, there's not a lot of small buildings there. There's a reason for that.
Yeah,
Um, and I think you know is what it is. Can you get a win against the Raiders with Mariota at quarterback? Probably. Does he need to play at the top level of his ceiling, ability wise, to be winning NFL games? Yes. I think if you see average Marcus Mariota as opposed to the Marcus Mariota we saw last year, which was well above average for him, I think you that game gets closer than you want to admit. So
yeah,
I think the line makes a lot of sense. And I think, like I put on the outline, it says Jaden health update or lack thereof, because we're not going to know. You guys are going to have no idea. I think
yeah,
it's going to come down to, unless something goes horribly left or is discovered really wrong, in which case we're all going to get the Adam Schefter tweet. Um, you're just not going to know. Right now, it's reported as a sprain. Sprains have various grades. We have no idea what grade the sprain is. Sometimes sprain can mean partial tear. Sometimes sprain can mean things are intact, but it's just sore and swollen. You don't know. We know last year he played through a broken rib. Obviously, that's a little bit different because there's no risk of real long-term damage there with a broken rib. It's just a pain tolerance thing. Obviously, when you're talking about a knee, there's other risks at play. So it's just going
yeah.
to have to be what it is at this point. The knee's hurt, so no one doing
Well,
it, right?
I think there's a couple things, right? One, there's a big topic of discussion. Does Jay need to change his style of play? And I think there are definitely things that he can improve on to keep him out of harm's way. But the way that offensive line played and the amount of, if you see the play that he got hurt on, so we finally figured out what play he got hurt on, where the defender went low and he had no chance. Micah Parsons went untouched to him, so he just reacted, tried to not get killed by Micah Parsons, started to run the ball and got blown up. And there was nothing Jaden Daniels could do on the play he got hurt different than what he did,
Yeah,
because you got a guy trying to take your head off who's one of the best to do it, in the league, and potentially, you know, we'll see what his legacy is, but he's trending in a great way. And yeah, I do think there are things that Jaden can improve on. I said it last week. You weren't in complete agreement. I think he holds the ball at times because he holds the ball thinking I can make a play with my legs. And sometimes he goes to run when he could have passed the ball. He could have planted his feet, saw the open man, and gotten rid of it that way. Or if maybe thrown it away. Maybe there's times you just need to throw it away and not worried about trying to make that extra play or take that, depending on the circumstance, the down, the distance, the time in the game, whether you got a lead or whether you don't. I think there's things that Jaden can do to continue to improve, but running the ball is one of his superpowers. And he's got to be able to continue to do that. In terms of whether he should play or not, I mean, it's really just going to come down. I think everybody is in unanimous, and I got to believe they're in this opinion in the building, that if he's not, you know, hitting all the markers, as Dan Kinn would say, which would be, they wear monitors every day, so they know what their measurements are in terms of where they run the ball, how they run the ball, whether they can cut their speed, their burst. They've got measurements for all that stuff. If he's not hitting those marks, and if he's got any swelling or discomfort in the knee, he shouldn't go. I think he's going to put in every effort every day, and I'm sure it started on Friday morning to try and go. So I
yeah,
don't think
probably
it's
at
a
an
foregone
ungodly hour.
conclusion that he's not going. And quite honestly, I said it last week, he's probably going to need to learn how to play with some dings because, luckily it hasn't been anything catastrophic yet, but it's it's just what it is. What they have to figure out first and foremost is how to protect, whether it's him or Mariota. How the heck can we get better protection, and what should we do with that O line? Because
Yeah, and
we
that's
can't
gonna
have the situation that we have right now. And you're probably down Bates too.
Yeah, that's going to be a key point that we're going to talk about in the keys to the game, and we'll get into that in a bit. First, we're going to do our Raider scouting report. I think now's the time to do it.
Yep.
Um, this is a decent team. Obviously, look. they're expecting that our backup quarterback's going to play, and we're still favored by 3.5 points. So make of that what you will for this Raiders team. This would be as good of a get right game opportunity as there could be if we came out of this thing in one piece. But with the amount of injuries that have hit this team, you just don't know. There's not much to scout in terms of weapons other than Ashton Jeanty at running back, who good running back hasn't quite lived up to that, the next LaDainian Tomlinson hype,
His numbers
but
aren't very good.
it's also 2 weeks into the year, right? And he's playing behind a pretty bad O line. So we'll see. Brock Bowers is the main concern I have, considering what happened with Tucker Kraft last week, considering just historically the way this team has been able to cover tight ends. Then again, was kind of banged up going into this week, decided to go, had a pretty
Don't I know it?
unsuccessful night, unfortunately for Pop, who needed him to come through and beat me in fantasy, but unfortunately that didn't work out. Now, I will put the hand up, a little bit of Benedict Arnold action. I did have Tucker Kraft in fantasy football
And he
across
was
2 leagues.
celebrating too, Commanders fans.
I was not. Stop with that. Um, but I didn't even need him in one league because
Get him in the comments.
I forgot to take George Kittle out of my lineup in one of the leagues, and he was on the bench, and I
Well,
still
that's on
won.
you.
So that was an all-time move there. Just weak coaching all over the place. But yeah, that's going to be a key. I think defensively, Max Crosby's a real threat. The rest of that defense is pretty terrible.
I'm scared for
So
them.
yeah, that makes me nervous, man, because I mean, if you're a defensive coordinator and if you're a defensive end, if you're anybody that's rushing the passer, how are you not looking to how are you not going over to the coach and going line me up over 72, put me over
Isn't
72?
that where he typically plays?
I believe so, yeah, but still, even if he doesn't, how are you not
Well, you know what the definition of insanity is? If Crosby's lined up over Connolly and we just let that go and have
let that
him
go?
have a
Yeah.
one-on-one matchup with him, that's the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to just either you got to leave a back in, you just play McNichols when you're going to pass the ball, even if it's a tell and he's just helping every time, or I guess we might have to get one of our other tight ends to block, but um,
McNichols had quite a few Olay blocks last week in pass
and he's
pro.
supposed to be good at pass pro.
He's good in specials. That's why he's on the roster. But yeah, we've gotta figure something out. So getting right into the keys to the win, I think. I mean, there's not too much else to scout. Gino had a rough night last night, dog.
Yeah,
We're recording this on Tuesday. It's pretty bad last night. He had 3 picks. We'll talk about that in our keys as well. But also, first week he threw for like 270 yards, 300 yards, something like that. He lit it up the first week. So you don't really know which Geno you're gonna get. But hopefully you get more of what he showed last night and less of the night before. Anyways, let's get into it. Let's get into our
I
three
want. I
keys.
wonder, as part of the Raiders scouting report, just real quick, because I know this could devolve into a long topic. But Tom Brady in the coach's box. Now he won't be able to probably do that Sunday because he's going to be calling a game, probably not ours. But in Chip Kelly's ear, and I'm not going to get into the whole should he be broadcasting or not with all that, whatever. Someone else can cover that. Probably shouldn't be. But I feel it's dysfunctional. It's dysfunctional. And the Raiders are known for being dysfunctional. And to have Tom Brady in Chip Kelly's ear and kind of acting as an owner coach, and you got to know that the Raiders owner is listening to Brady. That's probably his boy. It just feels like that something just doesn't feel right about that whole situation. It reminds me a little bit of when Michael Jordan was running the Wizards. Like,
Yeah,
not sure that whole thing's going to work out.
I don't know. I don't have the it's a weird
Just
situation.
just a take from me.
It's
You
a
don't
it's
have
a
to
good
respond
aside.
to it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't particularly care to respond to it too much right now. But it's a good point, Pop. Getting into it for our three keys. Key number
Clock
one.
management. I like it, Dominic.
Yeah, it's not worth our these minutes and seconds are valuable on this pod, man. Y'all click off the second you hear something you don't like. There's a lot of competition out there,
All
so I
right.
want to keep it moving. Uh, Number one, win on the offensive line. That is the number one key. That's going to be our key until proven otherwise, probably.
100%.
Um, you've got to win on the offensive line. If it's Jaden, you're protecting the guy is hurt. It's like almost like you ever bring a banana to the golf course? Got to be real smart with where that banana's packed in the bag, or you get to the golf course and it's a mess, right? Guy's already dinged up. He's a little bruised. We got to take care of him. And
The
if it's
worst is when you
Mariota,
forget the bananas in the bag and you don't get it till weeks later. That's the
let me
boys
tell
been
you,
known to do that
I have
on occasion.
fossilized a few bananas. It is tough, dude. It's a tough scene. The rate of
Uh,
bananas on the golf course is low.
fossilized.
Oh, it's
Uh,
been bad. But you've got to win on the offensive line. That's
no,
number
no
one. And
question.
if you've
No
got
question.
Marcus Mariota back there, that's even more reason this is not a polished starter NFL quarterback that's playing backup. He's a top tier backup, but you got to protect him. He's not.
Well,
This is not a guy you expect to be standing tall in the pocket, taking shots and delivering lasers. You know.
well, here's my thing, right? All the starters that were on the team last year to an offensive line that performed outperformed what we thought they were are still on the team, right? So
Yeah.
it makes a short Cosme, right? But you got Laramie Tunsil and he can push the other guys down. Let's not experiment anymore. Let's get the guys that are best at this point in time on the field and get them the help that they need because protecting these quarterbacks has to be priority one. You know, you can go back and listen to the last pod. We broke it down. We coached with arrogance last week. We can no
Yeah.
longer do that. We need to coach as if this is a project offensive line, not a fully formed, fully finished thing. And we said this was our priority in the offseason. Adam Peters said it. They're worse than last year. 2 games in. Not saying we're gonna end the season and say they're a worse offensive line. But with 2 games, they are performing worse than the line did last year. And that's not good. So
Yeah.
it's got to
It's
get
just
better. They got to coach them up. They got to figure it out, and they got to get the right five out there.
it's just a super dicey situation, and the problem is when that offensive line is not performing well, what it's allowing. And I think the left side of the offensive line is far outplaying the left side of the offensive line last year. But I think the right side of the offensive line is so bad that it's basically allowing you to just line your best edge rusher up over the right side, only rush four, and then everybody drops back into zone coverage. And then what that allows is you got a guy spying Jaden or Mariota, whoever, to kind of take his legs away. So then he's got no rush lanes, and you've got everybody in coverage on what is a subpar, below average wide receiver group right now, the way they're performing. Until
But
proven otherwise, in my opinion, a below average wide receiver group.
so is the left
So
side grading that much better? I'm just asking you honestly because I've
it's
heard
I I'm
conflicting
not
reports.
I'm not grading them, but eye test, yeah,
I've heard
Tunsil's
Biadasz is
dog.
the only one that's playing well right now. I've heard people say that.
I still think Tunsil and Coleman is a big upgrade over Coleman and
I
Allegretti on the
agree.
left side.
It's probably just
Um,
they need a few weeks to gel, I
yeah.
guess. Yeah,
Now, the protection overall is worse because schematically, we're not chipping nearly as much as we were last year, which I don't know why you stopped that
because they
altogether
think they're
or
better than they
why
are.
you don't, but why don't you have it in your back pocket and say, yo, we're kind of getting worked in the trenches. Let's go back to that chipping thing that we were doing. It's all the same guys in terms of tight ends and backs. I don't know, same coaches. I don't know. This whole continuity thing is supposed to mean you pick up where you left off, not you take 6 steps back because you wrote a love letter
It's
to
one
your
game.
GM and got a tackle. Anyways,
It's one game.
got to win on the offensive line. I would have a serious thought. You're just processing the
That's
joke there. I would have a serious thought about get sitting Connerly down. I mean, I know you don't want to destroy
yeah.
his confidence, but Wiley's a pro. You keep him around for that reason. You re-signed him pretty early on. I would have a serious thought about sitting him down,
Well, if
but
you at a bare minimum, you've got to rotate Wiley in if you see the same stuff starting to happen. At a
which
bare
is
minimum,
you had a rotation going for you had the same setup on the left side last year. You were rotating um you were rotating Coleman and Cornelius Lucas about 50-50. And it got to a point where we were saying, why is Coleman still rotating? He's clearly better. Do the same thing on the right side. I also don't understand. I don't know. It's all very confusing. Maybe some of our opinion of Wiley was formed by how well Cosby played last year next to him on the right side. Maybe Wiley and Allegretti don't play well together. But either way, you've got to help
Wiley, I
out that
mean, Wiley
offensive
is still
line.
Wiley, right? Like he's not great, but he's not the 32nd best right tackle in the league, probably. And
Yeah,
based on the performance for the first two games, that's what we're getting from a performance point of view. I'm not saying that's what Connerly is or will be.
will become. Yeah.
Right, right.
I mean, rookies across the NFL struggle the first 8 weeks of the year, but at one of the most important positions on the team, maybe you don't start it. I don't know. That's well, I would say it's neither here nor there, but it's exactly what we're talking about right now, as a matter of fact. Number two, establish the run and take pressure off the pass game. So guys, we can knock it into a situation where Bill Krosky Merritt has 4 carries again. We can knock it into a situation where we've carried the ball less than 10 times going into the half. I mean, this is atrocious. This is ridiculous. I don't know how. The best thing to do to neutralize a pass rush is to run the football. That's the best thing you can do. And that's what this offense is predicated on, is being able to run the ball. Krosky Merritt is still averaging like 4.5 yards a carry. Do the math. If he
And I
just
think
has an average run on first down and you get into 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, you can run the ball again. You can go play action and then run the ball. Like, these are the things we have
and I
to.
believe in
It's
I
just basic
believe in
fundamentals.
Rodriguez too, right? He can spell
Yeah.
them and do the same thing. So yeah, spot on.
I don't understand. We trade away Brian Robinson Jr. because we're so high on this running back room. And Cliff can't stop talking about how great they are. And the second game of the season, you just decide we're not going to run the ball at all. The
Well,
screen game's not working anymore. Run the ball.
and it doesn't have to be all Bill. You can work Debo in, you can work Chris Rodriguez in, just run the ball. Figure out a way
Yeah.
to take the
I
pressure off of whoever the quarterback is.
I actually disagree with you about that. I think it needs to be 80 to 90% Bill. Because Bill, right now, from what we've seen the first 2 games of the season, historically, yes, Terry McLaurin is more explosive, but Bill is the most explosive, other than maybe Debo, on that offense right now.
It
From what we've
wasn't
seen
my.
the first two
I don't
weeks,
really care who it is. I think that either one of those two backs can be effective. Effective. The point is committing to it and sticking with it. That's
agreed.
the bigger point. And sure,
So to
Bill's going to
close,
be your RB1, so we know that he's going to get
yeah,
first crack at it. But I think he's also not a guy that has gotten 20 carries a game yet. So I think you're going to have to work Rodriguez in a little bit
to
there. But
put
I think he gets a good 10, 15. You're pretty happy with that and work in a few carries for Debo, 5 or 10 for Rodriguez, and that's a great formula for the
to
game.
put to put a button on this topic and my point. If you're going to throw Josh Connerly into the deep end like that at right tackle, who hasn't shown much and been relatively bad, why are you not throwing the rookie who had a great camp, great preseason, and
Agree?
has been great in game? The logic is not made. If you're going to throw the ball to Jalen Lane on 4th and 5, why is Krosky Merritt not getting more carries?
Great point.
Anyways, um, point number three, which I think is going to be how we win this game, given that it's likely Jaden's not going to play, um, is we've got to take the ball away. And we've got to get extra possessions for the offense, because the offense, even with Jaden, hasn't quite clicked yet. And the Raiders have shown propensity to turn the ball over. So we've got to take that ball away. And if they're going to do it, we've got to take it away. We've got to take it away multiple times. Defensive touchdown would be really nice this game. Um, I know Dante Fowler Jr. is not on the team anymore, who scored one for us last year, but I would really like to get that this game, at least a takeaway, and just get extra possessions, get good field position for the offense, because we're probably going to need it.
Yeah, I agree. And you're just hoping you could steal this one game. And I think Marcus could do that. My only concern with Marcus Mariota is he going to last the game? Is that Achilles thing he was dealing with? And I kind of took this one from you because I know you brought it up. is going to be okay. But if he can play the game, he's healthy, which we think he is. I think we'll be fine with Marcus at QB. And I don't see Jaden, not a doctor, but just from my sense on what I'm getting out of it and how things are trending and how he's likely pushing to play this week. If they can keep him on the bench this week, my guess is he's back for Atlanta. So, we just got to get through this one game, I think. But we'll see what happens
Yeah,
unless there's a regression.
I'd hope. And I mean, if there is a softer chunk of the schedule in the short term, it's definitely this. So if he's got to miss 2 games, you
I
hope he
don't
can get
see
out of
him
these.
missing 2 games.
I don't see it either, but you just don't
Yeah.
know.
Now maybe
You
he
hope he can.
should, but I don't see it him. And you got to love that competitors with him, and knowing the kind of injury that we think it is. You know, it is an injury that people have played with, right? Maybe with a
Sure.
brace, but people have done that. So
Yeah, you're just hoping you could get out of this. If you can get out of this stretch 3-1, 2-2 without 100% Jaden, and then you're going into LA. Um, in that situation, that's great. You just don't want to
yeah,
end up
agree.
dropping these next two. But I think that's pretty much it. We can transition
Yep,
into our Bada Bets now.
let's do it. Let's make
Um,
some picks. I'm on a
yeah,
roll.
I'll just end I'll end our keys by just saying, Cliff, can we just get one of those like first play of the game, 5 yard out to Terry McLaurin? Like just get him in rhythm, get him out of witness protection. I would love that, please. We got to get him involved to get him starting better. Especially if Mariota's playing quarterback, he needs his help. Um,
Don't treat Bill like a banana in a golf bag.
boom, boom. If you know, you know. Anyways, getting in a bottom bets week 2. Well done, Pop. Pop's gonna read off our records here. He's our bookkeeper. Also, I was in charge of making the outline this week, and I don't keep the records the way
It's
Pop
a
does. So
fantastic outline. So I was
it's on him.
500, which is an improvement because I went 1-5 the first week. So I went 3-3 this week. Much better, trending positive. Puts me at 4-8 for the year. Not great, but like I said, trending up. Dominic is continuing his good form from last year, starting to get on a roll, starting to get hot. He's 7-5, went 4-2 last week. So if you're gonna tail anybody, tail Dominic.
Yeah, so real like win now, get good later. Started off 3-3, but started to put some pieces together and get that swing to get over 500 for last week. So, anyways, getting into it here. Bottom bets. Thursday night football, our
We got to
first game. We
predict the
got.
Commanders game first.
Oh yeah, of course. We got to predict the Commanders game first. Excuse me. Commanders -3.5. I mean, this was all the way up at like -5.5, -6 as of like this morning. So this line has moved, which makes me believe. Anyways,
Right,
um,
right.
what do you think?
Yeah, they don't think Jaden's playing, but I don't think they know for sure. They're just, I think the odds are that he's not.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. Um, I feel good. I feel like we got humbled. We got 10 days. I don't think the team, although Jaden is without a doubt the most important part. I think guys like Debo and Terry and Bobby Wagner and others can carry us, and if they can get things short up on the offensive line. The
yeah,
Raiders, we didn't talk about it. They play Monday night. They got to come all the way across the country and play a 1 o'clock game, which is a 10 a.m. game for there on a Sunday. So that is a pretty decent advantage for us too on the mini buy. So I like us to take care of business this time, maybe win by 6 or 7.
yeah. I'll ride with Pop here. I mean, it doesn't count against our record. I would say if it was in the bottom slate, I might take the Raiders here. I don't know if the team was in a very different spot when Mariota came in last year, and he came into a very different situation. Team was rolling. Jaden, we had just hit the Hail Mary. You had the Panthers, who were a historically awful team, coming in at home. I mean, you had most of the guys on that defense probably are not on NFL rosters this year with the Panthers. And so you were able to just let Mariota do his thing. And again, like there was just this magical good vibes. now you've got Mariota stepping into a situation which, unfortunately for him, maybe he's a little bit more familiar with, where there's a little more disappointment, animosity, frustration around where the team's at right now. And you've got a better team in the Raiders coming into town. So I don't know,
Fair
but
points.
I'll ride with Pop on the optimism and take the Commanders
That's
here.
fair points.
We need it. I think it's just one of those things where, like, I was just saying this earlier today, life tends to just work out a little bit better than you expect usually. So maybe the team's not as bad as we're worried about right now. Maybe the Raiders just Mariota comes in, takes over, gives us that confidence that, hey, if Jaden needs another week, if this team doesn't quite click into place yet, the offense looks like once Jaden's back and is 100%, we got it. So we definitely need this,
I
and I think the coaching
yeah
staff knows we need it too.
yeah. I'm definitely not buying there's a massive overreaction that's happening from the Packers game,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I feel like we're underselling the Giants' performance because every game against the Giants is usually super tight, or we threaten losing, including last year. We were
Yeah,
12-5, so taking care of business against them and never having them be a threat, I think, is we saw this week they can ball, you know. So I still think I said it, in our last pod. I still think this is a very good football team.
yeah. Um, and yep, I can't disagree with you. We'll see where it goes, but we're both going to take the Commanders here, beating the Raiders by more than 3.5 points. So, getting into our Bada Bets here. Thursday night, Miami is plus 11 and a half at Buffalo. That's like a college football line, man. That is nuts. Miami, like, they're imploding. I think they have the worst point differential in the league, or one of them. They have just a terrible defense. Their offense has moments, but it just does not look like Tua is going to be the guy. Does not look like they're having players only meetings. When you hear that, that's when you know, man. I
But
think Mike McDaniel is going to be the next offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders, but that's neither here nor there. What do you think is going to happen
you
here,
know how
Pop?
much I love that idea.
I would love it.
We should just say it together, right? We're both picking the Bills.
You got to. You just want to. If you're going to be wrong on one side of this one, it's Buffalo. But I do think this could be one of those where, like, Miami sneaks back in it and gets a couple garbage time touchdowns and screws the bottom. But after what the Bills did to the Jets last week, you assume they're just gonna
Yeah,
put their foot on their neck and end it.
yeah.
Rams 3.5 point favorites at Eagles. This one's fun. What do you think, Pop?
3.5 point underdogs.
Underdog, excuse me.
Yeah.
Rams are getting 3.5 points against Philly.
I mean, there's been a lot of close games with the Eagles. Definitely, that's a good Rams team. I'm
Yeah,
just
I mean
gonna
Rams are 2-0.
I'm gonna ride with the Eagles at home. Just I'm gonna try to pick with my head and not my heart here. Wouldn't
Yeah,
shock me if that game's closer than that. I mean, it was a barn burner in the playoffs, but I'll go
yeah.
Eagles.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I mean, the last time I think the Rams are going to want their get back pretty bad.
If it was in LA, I think I might have made a different pick, but at
Yeah,
Philly,
the home field is tough at Philly, but then again, this time of the year, the weather should be pretty good.
do it, do it.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams. I just got a tingle about it. Pop's obviously talking me into it so that he can get a different game with the best team in football in his back pocket. But I'm going to take the Rams. I mean, the Eagles got lucky last week with the Kelsey thing, and I mean, 7 tush pushes. There's got to be a dialogue about that at some point. We all hate it because it sucks, not because you're good at it and we don't think we could beat you. We hate it because it sucks, just objective. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna take the Rams here. I think this is I maybe the Eagles still win, but I think this is at least a pretty close game. And 3.5 is a bit for that team. Cowboys 1.5 point favorites at the Bears. This is a pick 'em. What do you like here, Pop?
Can't pick the Bears. Not right now. I got. There's nothing that I've seen from them that gives me faith, and at least offensively, the Cowboys woke up against what we think is a pretty good defense last week.
Yeah,
They got a great kicker, so I'll go Cowboys here.
yeah, I'm gonna go Cowboys here as well. There were some anti Ben Johnson chants. I'm not going to quote them here. It's family
Why do the
friendly program
Lions hate Ben Johnson?
because he left them to go to a division rival. He was their offensive
Uh,
coordinator. How would you feel if Cliff
I
went
mean,
and
I
coached
know
the
he's
Cowboys?
kind of disparaged Jared Goff in a few comments that he's made, so it's probably that
Yeah.
too.
How would
I
you
know why
feel
we don't like him, but
if
just
Cliff Kingsbury went to go coach the Cowboys? Would you not expect our fan base to be angry at him? It's a rival.
I wouldn't.
Um,
I mean, if that was the anyway,
it doesn't matter. But what my joke was: how long until those chants start coming from
it's
people
just something
wearing?
about Ben Johnson's face.
Yeah, I
Let's just
agree. How long until those chants start coming from people wearing blue and orange instead of blue and silver?
yeah, that's true.
Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and take the Cowboys here as well. Actually, the Cowboys are a pretty decent football team this year. All right, so next up after Cowboys Bears, we have Sunday Night Football, Chiefs Giants. Chiefs are 5.5 point favorites here. What do you like, Pop?
On the road, I gotta go. I gotta go with the Chiefs. Hard to imagine them going 0-3 here,
Yeah,
and
and
I
hard to
just
imagine them letting it be close, right?
I don't know. I mean, I do say as good as the Giants' defense is supposed to be, they let the Cowboys put up a bunch of points. We, I think, dominated them, just didn't finish and
It
score.
was more
They
on
haven't
us
looked
than them.
great. And then you look at their offense, looked really good against Cowboys' defense, which isn't very good. Not a very good secondary. Certainly missing Micah Parsons. So, and the Chiefs got a great defense. So, yeah, on paper, I don't. You'd have to like the Chiefs in this one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would go. I would go Chiefs here as well. There's
zero and
never been
three
a
in New
better
York is
opportunity for a
not
get.
pretty.
I know I just said I think that the Cowboys are actually a pretty decent team, but I think last week was more a result of two pretty bad football
It could
teams
be.
duking it out than it was either one of those teams being legit. I
Could
mean, just
be.
look at what happened against Green Bay with us, and look at the difference against New York. It's that New York's not good. So I'll take the Chiefs here. Going forward, we have the Lions at the Ravens on Monday Night Football. Ravens are 5.5 point favorites at home. That seems like a lot of points. What do you think, Pop?
I'm going to go Ravens here. I just think that they've been, if you put the 2 weeks back to back and you look a little bit of a fluky loss to the Bills, got to give the Bills credit of taking advantage of the opportunity they were presented. I thought the Ravens got really conservative as well, but give Bills all the credit.
Yeah.
Lions look great, but they played the Bears. But that offense got rolling and probably built some confidence, and that is an extremely. This might be the two most talented teams in the NFL. So you can look at that and say 5.5 points is a lot. I think the Ravens at home. I could see this being a close one, but I'm just going to go. I'm going to go Ravens. Not sure. I'm 1,000% confident in this pick, but I'll go Ravens here.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with the Ravens as well. This is a classic like September win for the Ravens. Like it just feels like this is like the time of year
Backhanded
when they like
compliment.
no, this is what they do. During the regular season, they knock the crap out of everybody. Like this is just what
Yeah,
what seems to happen with the Ravens, and this is going to be when they reassert themselves. Everybody goes, "Oh, they're going to the Super Bowl this year." It's like it reminds me of when they beat Buffalo. Well, not this year, but last year they beat Buffalo pretty bad. But I do have some questions about that Ravens defense. They looked a lot better last week, and obviously that Lions offense is going to go to work. But last time this game happened, Ravens were favored by a bunch. I took the Lions, and the Ravens absolutely smacked them.
I could see this
But
one looking a lot like the Bills game in a way. High scoring, um, back and forth type affair.
yeah, I would agree. But I'm gonna take the Ravens here to cover. I think they close and maybe
Okay,
they get like a end of game touchdown.
so we picked
Um,
all the same except for Rams Eagles. You got the Rams, I got the Eagles. So
yeah,
we ride or die
yep.
together for the most part.
Hey, you said if there's anybody to be tailing here, it's me. So you picked a
I was
good you
picking
picked a good guy
first
to
most
tail.
of the time. So
Yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? Only the maybe I'll edit it up differently. Maybe I'll switch it. Anyways, without further ado, guys, it's been a lot of fun. Uh, let's everybody say a prayer. whoever you pray to. If you pray, say a little prayer for Jaden's knee. We're throwing some up for sure. And let's get this win, man. It's time. Let's right the ship. This is the time to right the ship. But without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thank you guys for another great week, and hail to the Commanders.